Welcome to Buffy's Flavorful Journey. Today I'm going to show you how to turn a cake mix into the best cake ever. Now, kind of starting at the end, coming back, I'm showing you the final product here. Getting ready to flip it out. Just showing you that's the top of the cake. It's fully baked. Now let's flip it out. And let's pray that it's going to come out in one piece, which I know it will. Voila. Look at that. It's a beautiful cake. Beautiful. A masterpiece. See, there's just a little bit stuck around there at the top of the Bundt pan, but otherwise, came out pretty clean. What more can you ask for when you're making a Bundt cake? And here we are making the Duncan Hines Perfectly Moist Lemon Supreme cake. Now, this is the box cake mix, and here's the ingredients that it asks you to use. But we're going to Buffetize this. So, we're not going to use that. Good. And there it is as far as time for baking. So let's go ahead and get started. There's the cake mix. I'm going to dump it into my Ka. The whole bag. Next up is a 3.4 ounce box of lemon Jell-O pudding. And you can use the instant or the cook and serve. I usually use the instant. Dump that in there as well. And this is a 5-quart Ka mixer. Now add 1 cup of milk. It's at room temperature instead of the 1 cup of water that the box cake mix asks for. That's the first swap. Gonna add 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Shake it up before you use it. Almost forgot to do that. And this vanilla comes from Costco. I love this vanilla. It's about $17 a bottle. But that's well worth it because vanilla is not cheap. And this is not imitation. This is pure vanilla extract. So there goes those 2 tablespoons. Now, the mix doesn't ask for that, but I add it. There's the corresponding frosting. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of that to the mix as well. Now, this is something I saw on TikTok. This lady did that, and she said it makes your cakes awesome, and I must agree. Gives that little flavor. Getting it all off that spoon there. Creme bouquet. Donna at Beautiful Creations too, her not website, but YouTube channel. She talks about this, so I use it. Also, Chef Jeffrey uses it too. He's about a capful. I don't really measure. I just pour it in there. Here's another swap. 6 large eggs. The mix calls for 3 eggs. I add 6. The extra eggs will make your cake richer and moister tasting, along with the milk instead of water. And I tap my eggs on the counter. I found that they crack a lot better that way and less chance of getting eggshells in your batter. Now, one thing I have started doing is I crack my eggs in a separate container just in case they're bad and you don't want that to go in your batter and ruin your batter. These last 2 were a little stuck to the carton, as you can see there. And the last one is even more stuck. But you work around when you're in the kitchen sometimes. Now this last egg, like I said, is really stuck in there. So I had to improvise a little bit because I couldn't get it to come up out of the carton. So I held the other eggshells down and poured it in. Sorry about my big head. Growing up, my father said I had a big cabbage head. So sorry, got in the camera there. Had to go get a towel to kind of tidy up in the eggs. 2 sticks of melted unsalted butter. On the mix, on the box, it says half a cup of oil. The other swap is to double the amount of fat. In this case, I use melted butter instead of the oil. So instead of half a cup, I use 1 cup, which is 2 sticks. And you want to mix your eggs in first before adding the butter because it's, warm, maybe even hot because you melted it. And if you put it in there right after the eggs or with the eggs, it may cook your eggs. Don't ask me how I know that. But trust me, mix your eggs in there. Make sure they're well combined. Then add that warm melted butter. And for me, I usually add that melted butter as the last ingredient. Stand mixers are a wonderful thing, but you do need to stop and make sure you're getting everything incorporated in there. And you don't want to overmix, because if you overmix, you'll end up with a really tough, dense cake. I think in the cake mixer says mix for like 2 minutes. When I first started baking, I would actually put a timer on my phone and time myself. Now, Baker's Joy, that is my go-to. Instead of using oil and flour or butter and flour, all you need is Baker's Joy because it's got the oil and the flour in there. And the Bundt pan I'm using, and I'll put a link in the description, it's a Nordic ware. And it's a lightweight Bundt pan. And I'll tell you what, first time I used it, I was a little concerned, like, this isn't going to do a trick. But I love Nordic ware Bundt pans. Now it's just a matter of pouring the batter in, and I kind of turn my Bundt pan around a little bit to make it a little easier to get it in there, the batter in there. Turning it again. And you fill your Bundt pan up to no more than 3/4 full, and then you shake it like I'm doing here on the counter. That helps get out any air bubbles in your batter. Now this is an old cookie sheet that I don't cook on any food, but I will put my cake pans on there in case it overflows. I had one overflow one from the oven and it was a hot mess. Now here's the cake. It's fully cooked and it's sitting on a little stainless steel rack. Here's my cake tester. I love this thing. Instead of using toothpicks, I use this. And you test your cakes in the center where it went in. A little blurry there, but it came out clean. Another way to tell when your cakes are done is it's pulling away from the sides. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Now we're going to flip it out. I usually take it out of the oven, let it sit on that rack for like 15 to 20 minutes. And then I let it flip it out like I'm getting ready to do now. Then I'll let it sit for about an hour before I frost it. Now let's pull away and see what we got. And there it is. That is a pretty cake. Now, here's my frosting. It's corresponding frosting that goes with the cake mix from Duncan Hines. When I use cakes from the box mix, I use Duncan Hines. That's my little spatula to help me frost. I'm going to tell you something. I cannot ice or frost a cake worth anything. So I'm just giving you fair warning. This is a plastic chopstick that I bought. And I like to use the fatter end. That's actually the end that you hold. I poke holes in my Bundt cakes because I want the frosting to get down in there. Add more flavor and it gets it even more moist. So you can see I'm going all the way around, poking holes in it. Now you don't have to do this step. It's just something I do because I like it and my family likes it when the frosting gets down in the cake. Then I go on the inside of it. Then I'm going to go on the outside again. Lower section. And again, poking these holes is not a necessary step. It's just something that I do. And it's still a beautiful cake. Now, my frosting, of course, you're going to take that aluminum foil wrapper that's, when you take the red lid off, there's a wrapper, aluminum foil, you take that off. And I had it in the microwave because, it was solid. So now it's a liquid, so I can pour it. I want to make it pourable. This is another hack that I saw on TikTok. A young man was making a cake for his wife. He had never made a cake before. And he's like me, doesn't know how to frost or ice the cake. So he said, I wonder if I nuke it and make it pourable, what will that do? And that blew my mind when I saw him do that. Because it works. So here I am pouring it around. And I got this one, I think, a little bit too liquidy, but it's still going to turn out really good. And I'm trying to get as much of the cake coated with the frosting as I'm pouring it as possible. And then I'm going to use that cake froster spatula that I showed you sitting over there on the red lid to move the frosting around a little bit. Now I'm just going to take my spatula and go around, and any spots that I see that the icing didn't hit on the cake, I'm going to make sure that I get icing on it. And I'm using the word icing and frosting interchangeable. Okay, here's the finished product. I know all of you out there who really know how to frost or ice a cake, you're thinking it looks like a hot mess. Me personally, I would eat that in a minute. And here it is with the lid on it, just showing you what it looks like. And here it is. Getting ready to take a bite of it. You can look at it and tell how moist it is. See how the fork went in there? It's so moist. And this tasted so good. Thanks for watching.